you're in Hawaii, one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and then the ground opens up and hell starts pouring out.
NASA has issued an urgent evacuation order for Hawaii following a dramatic 250% increase in eruption risk. The sudden rise in volcanic activity has left residents and scientists in shock, prompting swift action to ensure safety. What triggered this unprecedented spike? How is NASA monitoring the situation? And what are the immediate impacts on the island's inhabitants and environment? Join us as we uncover the details behind this critical situation and explore the implications of Hawaii's heightened volcanic threat. Hawaii's landscape is shaped by its volcanic origins. The Hawaiian Islands were formed by volcanic activity over millions of years, with magma from close within the Earth's mantle erupting through the ocean floor to create towering mountains and islands. This process continues today, making Hawaii one of the most volcanically active regions in the world. Among Hawaii's many volcanoes, Kilauea and Mauna Loa are the most notable. Kilauea, located on the Big Island, is one of the world's most active volcanoes. It has been in a state of continuous eruption since 1983, with frequent lava flows shaping the island's landscape. Mauna Loa, also on the Big Island, is the largest volcano on Earth in terms of volume and area covered. Its eruptions, though less frequent than Kilauea's, are typically much more voluminous and can have significant impacts on the island. Throughout history, Hawaii has experienced numerous volcanic eruptions, each leaving a lasting impact on the island's environment and its inhabitants. One of the most significant eruptions in recent memory occurred in 2018. In May 2018, Kilauea erupted dramatically, spewing lava, ash, and toxic gases. The eruption destroyed over 700 homes, displaced thousands of residents, and transformed the island's landscape. The lava flows covered many areas, creating new land, but also burying communities and infrastructure. The eruption also had severe environmental impacts, including the release of sulfur dioxide gas, which created harmful air quality conditions known as VOG. The catastrophic force of volcanic eruptions is brought home sharply by this incident, which also emphasizes the significance of monitoring and readiness. NASA, along with other scientific agencies, plays a crucial role in monitoring these volcanic activities. Their satellite imagery and ground-based sensors provide invaluable data, helping predict eruptions and assess risks. Still, what caused the 250% spike in the risk of an eruption? For Hawaii's citizens, what does this entail, and how are these changes picked up by NASA's monitoring systems? Though catastrophic, is the current state of affairs even more perilous than the one that occurred in 2018? In this section, we will examine in more detail the recent earthquake activity and the alarming NASA results. In a dramatic turn of events, El Capitan in Yosemite National Park recently experienced two massive rock slides. These slides resulted in the tragic death of one climber and left many questioning the stability of the region. But how are these events connected to Hawaii's volcanic activity? El Capitan, a granite monolith standing over 3,000 feet tall, is a popular destination for rock climbers worldwide. The rock slides occurred within a week, causing significant concern among geologists and park officials. The sudden and violent nature of these slides suggests a link to broader seismic activity in the Pacific region. The Pacific region, known as the Ring of Fire, is a hotbed of seismic activity. This area is characterized by frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions caused by tectonic plate movements. Recent data shows a surge in seismic events along the Ring of Fire, including the rock slides at El Capitan. These seismic disturbances indicate a shift in tectonic activities, possibly leading to increased volcanic activity. But what does this mean for Hawaii? Hawaii's Big Island, home to Kilauea and Mauna Loa, has recently experienced a series of earthquake swarms. These swarms are clusters of earthquakes occurring over a short period and in a localized area, often indicating increased volcanic activity. Since early this year, Kilauea has been experiencing frequent small to moderate earthquakes. These tremors are typically caused by magma movement beneath the volcano. The recent increase in these quakes suggests that magma is accumulating and pressurizing the volcanic system, potentially leading to an eruption. Mauna Loa, the world's largest volcano, has also shown signs of unrest. Earthquake swarms around its summit and flanks indicate that magma is moving towards the surface. Although Mauna Loa's last eruption was in 1984, its reawakening could have significant implications for the island. NASA and the United States Geological Survey have been closely monitoring these seismic activities using advanced technologies like satellite imagery, global positioning system, and ground-based sensors. The data collected reveals increased magma movement beneath both Kilauea and Mauna Loa. Satellite imagery shows ground deformation, a common sign of magma accumulation. Global positioning system data indicates that the ground around these volcanoes is rising, suggesting that magma is pushing its way upwards. Thermal imaging has detected hotspots, further confirming increased volcanic activity. With these alarming signs, the question arises: how imminent is the threat of an eruption? Can we predict when it will happen, and what areas are most at risk? The data points to a critical situation, but what measures are being taken to ensure the safety of Hawaii's residents? NASA employs a suite of advanced monitoring technologies to keep a close eye on volcanic activity. These tools provide crucial data that help scientists predict eruptions and assess risks. Interferometric synthetic aperture radar is a powerful tool that uses radar signals from satellites to detect ground movements. By measuring changes in the Earth's surface, interferometric synthetic aperture radar can reveal subtle shifts that indicate magma accumulation. This technology is important for monitoring volcanoes in remote areas like Hawaii. NASA uses a network of global positioning system stations to measure ground deformation. These stations detect even the slightest movements in the Earth's crust, which can signal that magma is moving beneath the surface. The data from global positioning system stations helps scientists understand the dynamics of volcanic activity. Thermal imaging technology allows NASA to detect temperature changes on the ground. Hotspots can indicate areas where magma is close to the surface or where new lava flows might occur. This technology is crucial for identifying potential eruption sites and assessing ongoing volcanic activity. NASA's recent observations have provided detailed insights into the current state of Hawaii's volcanoes. The findings are both fascinating and concerning. Satellite imagery and ground-based sensors have detected significant ground deformation around Kilauea and Mauna Loa. These observations suggest that large amounts of magma are accumulating beneath these volcanoes. The increased activity is evident from the frequent earthquake swarms and rising ground levels. Thermal imaging has revealed multiple hotspots around the volcanoes, indicating that magma is moving towards the surface. This movement is a clear sign that the volcanic systems are becoming increasingly pressurized, which could lead to an eruption. The data collected by NASA shows that the magma chambers beneath Kilauea and Mauna Loa are expanding rapidly. But how did NASA calculate the 250% increase in eruption risk? The answer lies in the detailed analysis of the data in collaboration with other scientific bodies. NASA's scientists used data from interferometric synthetic aperture radar, global positioning system, and thermal imaging to model the volcanic systems. By analyzing the rate of magma accumulation and the extent of ground deformation, they were able to estimate the increased likelihood of an eruption. The models indicated a significant rise in the pressure within the magma chambers, leading to the conclusion that the risk of eruption had increased by 250%. NASA has been working closely with the United States Geological Survey to validate these findings. The collaboration ensures that the data is accurate and the risk assessments are reliable. The combined expertise of NASA and the United States Geological Survey provides a comprehensive understanding of the volcanic activity in Hawaii. With such alarming findings, what measures are being taken to ensure the safety of Hawaii's residents? How soon could an eruption occur, and what areas are most at risk? The answers to these questions are crucial as we move to the next phase of understanding the implications of this increased volcanic threat. In response to the heightened threat, evacuation orders have been issued for several key areas. The most affected regions include the Puna District and the Lower East Rift Zone on the Big Island. These areas are particularly vulnerable due to their proximity to active volcanic vents and the historical paths of lava flows. The Puna District, known for its lush landscapes and rural communities, is now a high-risk zone. The Lower East Rift Zone, already scarred by previous eruptions, faces an even greater threat as magma movement increases beneath the surface. Other regions under evacuation orders include parts of Volcano Village and areas near Mauna Loa Summit. Authorities have used several criteria to determine which areas need to be evacuated. The primary factors include proximity to active vents, historical lava flow paths, and recent seismic activity. Areas with increased ground deformation, as indicated by Global Positioning System and interferometric synthetic aperture radar data, have also been prioritized for evacuation. These criteria ensure that residents in the highest danger zones are moved to safety first. Executing a large-scale evacuation is a complex task that requires meticulous planning and coordination. Local authorities and emergency services play a significant role in this process. Hawaii's local government, in collaboration with federal agencies like the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has set up emergency operations centers to manage the evacuation. These centers coordinate the efforts of police, fire departments, and National Guard units to ensure a swift and orderly evacuation. Officials are working around the clock to disseminate information, manage logistics, and provide support to those affected. The evacuation process is fraught with challenges. Transportation is one of the most pressing issues. Many areas in the Puna District and Lower East Rift Zone are rural, with limited access to major highways. This makes it difficult to move large numbers of people quickly. Authorities have deployed buses and arranged for shuttle services to assist those without private transportation. Finding adequate shelter for evacuees is another significant challenge. Schools, community centers, and churches have been converted into temporary shelters. The capacity of these facilities is limited. Emergency services are working to set up additional shelters and ensure that they are stocked with essential supplies, including food, water, and medical aid. Ensuring the safety of both residents and tourists is paramount. Tourist areas like the Volcanoes National Park have been closed, and visitors are being guided to safe locations. Authorities have also issued advisories for residents to stay indoors as much as possible to avoid exposure to volcanic ash and toxic gases. Emergency response teams are on standby to assist with medical emergencies and to provide support to those with mobility issues. With the evacuation in full swing, what are the immediate impacts on the affected communities? How are residents coping with the sudden displacement, and what measures are in place to support them during this crisis? The answers to these questions reveal the human side of this natural disaster and the resilience of Hawaii's people in the face of adversity. The sudden evacuation orders have led to the displacement of thousands of residents, creating a humanitarian crisis. The areas most affected include the Puna District, Lower East Rift Zone, and regions near Mauna Loa Summit. Families have been forced to leave their homes with little notice, carrying only essential belongings. Many residents are experiencing the trauma of displacement. The uncertainty of when they might return, if at all, adds to the emotional toll. Children, the elderly, and those with medical conditions are particularly vulnerable during this upheaval. Efforts are underway to provide temporary housing for the evacuees. Schools, community centers, and churches have been repurposed as shelters. The Red Cross, along with local charities and volunteers, is working tirelessly to provide beds, food, and medical care. Despite these efforts, the sheer number of displaced individuals has strained resources. Authorities are also setting up more permanent temporary housing solutions, such as portable cabins and tent cities, to accommodate those who may be displaced for an extended period. Mental health services are being offered to help residents cope with the stress and anxiety of the situation. The volcanic activity has also wreaked havoc on Hawaii's infrastructure, complicating the evacuation process and emergency response efforts. Lava flows and seismic activity have caused significant damage to roads, making transportation difficult. Key routes in and out of affected areas are blocked or severely damaged, hindering evacuation efforts and the delivery of aid. Power lines have been brought down, leading to widespread electricity outages. Buildings, including homes, schools, and businesses, have sustained damage from both earthquakes and encroaching lava. Communication networks are crucial during emergencies, but volcanic activity has disrupted these systems. Cell towers have been damaged, and internet services are intermittent. This disruption makes it challenging for residents to receive timely updates and for emergency services to coordinate their efforts effectively. Emergency response teams are working to restore communication networks as quickly as possible. Mobile communication units are being deployed to provide temporary service, and technicians are working around the clock to repair damaged infrastructure. The damage to infrastructure has also impacted the capabilities of emergency response teams. Firefighters, medical personnel, and rescue teams face obstacles in reaching affected areas. The lack of reliable communication further complicates coordination, making it difficult to manage the situation efficiently. What long-term implications may the island's infrastructure and population expect, given the magnitude of the immediate impacts? What policies are in place to assist efforts at recovery, and how will the community rebuild? We learn about Hawaii's people's tenacity and their solutions to the volcanic problem as we investigate these issues. NASA's alarming report about the increased eruption risk has caused a human and infrastructural crisis, but also poses significant threats to the environment and ecology of Hawaii. Understanding these impacts helps us grasp the broader consequences of this natural disaster. Hawaii's unique ecosystems are under serious threat due to the potential volcanic eruption. The islands are home to a rich diversity of flora and fauna, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. The destructive power of volcanic activity could lead to the loss of these precious habitats. The lava flows and ash fall can devastate large swaths of forest, grasslands, and wetlands. These areas support a variety of plant species, some of which are critically endangered. The lava covers the ground, burning everything in its path and creating a barren landscape that can take decades or even centuries to recover. Many of Hawaii's endangered species, including the nene and the ohia lahua tree, rely on specific habitats that are now at risk. The volcanic activity could disrupt breeding grounds, food sources, and shelter for these species, pushing them closer to extinction. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, a United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organization World Heritage Site, is particularly vulnerable. This park is a critical habitat for many native species and a significant part of Hawaii's natural heritage. The surrounding regions, which include rainforests and coastal ecosystems, are also at risk. The loss of these areas would be an ecological tragedy, but would also impact the tourism industry, which relies heavily on the natural beauty of these landscapes. The environmental impact of volcanic eruptions extends beyond immediate physical destruction. Air quality deteriorates rapidly due to the release of volcanic gases and ash, posing severe health risks to residents. One of the major concerns is the increase in volcanic smog, commonly known as VOG. VOG is created when sulfur dioxide emitted by the volcano reacts with sunlight, oxygen, and moisture in the atmosphere to form a hazy mixture of aerosols. This smog can travel far from the eruption site, affecting large areas of the island. VOG can cause a range of health problems, especially for individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions like asthma or chronic bronchitis. Symptoms include coughing, throat irritation, headaches, and shortness of breath. Long-term exposure can lead to more serious health issues, including damage to the respiratory tract and cardiovascular problems. To protect residents, authorities have implemented several measures. They are distributing masks and air purifiers to help reduce inhalation of toxic particles. Public health advisories are being issued regularly to inform people about the current air quality and what steps they should take to minimize exposure. Schools and businesses in heavily affected areas are being closed to reduce the number of people exposed to VOG. In light of the threats to human health and the environment, how are communities adjusting to these new realities? What long-term plans are being established to safeguard public health and preserve Hawaii's distinctive ecosystems? We'll observe the inventiveness and resiliency at work in the face of an increasingly severe natural disaster as we investigate these issues. The federal and state governments have taken swift action to respond to the volcanic threat. Emergency declarations have been issued, unlocking critical funding and resources to aid in the evacuation and relief efforts. The governor of Hawaii declared a state of emergency, which was promptly followed by a federal emergency declaration. These declarations facilitate the rapid deployment of resources and personnel needed to manage the crisis. The federal government has allocated substantial funding to support evacuation efforts, provide temporary housing, and repair damaged infrastructure. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is at the forefront of the response efforts. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has set up multiple disaster recovery centers across the island, providing essential services and support to evacuees. These centers offer food, water, medical care, and information on available assistance programs. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is coordinating with local authorities to ensure that the distribution of aid is efficient and effective. The National Guard has been deployed to assist with evacuation and security operations. They are helping to manage traffic, maintain order, and provide logistical support to ensure that evacuees reach safety. Their presence is crucial in maintaining stability during this chaotic time. The response to the volcanic threat is not limited to government actions. Local organizations and volunteers have played an important role in supporting evacuation and relief efforts. Their dedication and resilience are proof to the strength of the Hawaiian community. Numerous local nonprofits, community groups, and churches have mobilized to assist those affected by the eruption risk. These organizations are providing shelter, food, and emotional support to evacuees. Volunteers are working tirelessly to distribute supplies, set up temporary shelters, and offer assistance to those in need. The stories emerging from the affected communities are both heart-wrenching and inspiring. Neighbors are helping neighbors, and strangers are coming together to support each other. For instance, in the Puna district, local residents have opened their homes to evacuees, offering a safe haven amidst the chaos. Schools and community centers have been transformed into makeshift shelters, where volunteers provide meals and comfort to displaced families. One particularly touching story involves a local fisherman who, despite losing his home to the advancing lava, has been using his boat to transport supplies to isolated communities cut off by road closures. His selfless actions exemplify the spirit of aloha that permeates Hawaiian culture. With government agencies and local communities working hand in hand, what are the next steps in this ongoing crisis? How will these efforts evolve as the situation develops? And what long-term strategies are being implemented to ensure recovery and resilience? These questions guide us towards understanding the broader impact in the future of Hawaii's volcanic response efforts. Climate change is altering the planet in ways we are only beginning to understand, and its effects on volcanic activity are an emerging area of concern. While direct links between climate change and increased volcanic activity are complex, there are compelling reasons to believe that changes in climate can influence volcanic behavior. For instance, the melting of glaciers and ice caps can reduce pressure on the Earth's crust, potentially triggering volcanic eruptions. This situation, known as isostatic rebound, has been observed in regions like Iceland and Antarctica. Globally, we are witnessing an uptick in the frequency and intensity of natural disasters. Hurricanes, wildfires, floods, and volcanic eruptions are becoming more common and severe. Scientists attribute this trend to the changing climate, which influences weather patterns and destabilizes natural systems. The increased volcanic activity in Hawaii could be part of this broader pattern, underscoring the interconnectedness of our planet's systems. The increased risk of volcanic eruptions in Hawaii emphasizes the critical need for preparedness. Ensuring safety and minimizing damage requires strategic planning and robust systems. Preparedness is key to mitigating the impacts of volcanic eruptions. This involves having emergency plans in place, but also ensuring that communities are educated about the risks and know how to respond. Regular drills, public information campaigns, and school programs can help build a culture of readiness. Improving the monitoring of volcanic activity is essential for early detection and warning. NASA and the United States Geological Survey use advanced technologies like interferometric synthetic aperture radar, global positioning system, and thermal imaging to track changes in volcanic systems. Increasing the density of monitoring stations and integrating data from various sources can enhance our ability to predict eruptions. Developing and refining early warning systems is critical. These systems should be capable of providing timely alerts to residents and authorities, allowing for swift evacuations and other protective measures. Effective early warning systems rely on accurate and up-to-date information, which requires continuous investment in scientific research and technological innovation. Having robust evacuation plans is necessary for ensuring the safety of residents. These plans should be regularly updated and tested through drills. Clear communication channels must be established to disseminate information quickly and efficiently. In Hawaii, the collaboration between local authorities, emergency services, and community organizations is a model of how coordinated efforts can enhance preparedness. As we face the reality of increased natural disasters, what innovative solutions are being developed to enhance our preparedness and resilience? How can communities adapt to these changes? And what role does technology play in safeguarding our future? These questions lead us to explore the evolving strategies and technologies that aim to protect us in an increasingly unstable world. As Hawaii grapples with the immediate impacts of the volcanic threat, attention is also turning to long-term recovery and building resilience for the future. The rebuilding efforts and economic impacts are crucial elements in restoring normalcy and ensuring the community can withstand future challenges. The path to recovery begins with comprehensive plans to rebuild homes and infrastructure devastated by the volcanic activity. These efforts are essential to restore daily life and provide a foundation for future resilience. Government and local authorities are spearheading the rebuilding process. The initial focus is on assessing the damage to homes, roads, and public utilities. Detailed surveys and inspections are being conducted to determine the extent of the destruction and prioritize areas for reconstruction. New building codes and standards are being implemented to ensure that rebuilt structures are more resilient to future volcanic and seismic activities. The government has allocated significant funds for reconstruction, and federal aid is being funneled into various recovery projects. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is working closely with state agencies to provide financial assistance to homeowners for repairs and rebuilding. Community initiatives are also playing an important role. Local organizations are mobilizing volunteers and resources to support rebuilding efforts. Programs aimed at training residents in construction and repair skills are being launched to empower the community and expedite the recovery process. The economic ramifications of the volcanic crisis are intense, affecting local businesses and the crucial tourism sector. Addressing these impacts is key to revitalizing the island's economy and ensuring sustainable growth. Local businesses, particularly those in the tourism industry, have been severely hit. The closure of popular tourist spots and evacuation orders have led to a sharp decline in visitors, affecting hotels, restaurants, and tour operators. The agricultural sector, another cornerstone of Hawaii's economy, has also suffered due to ashfall and lava flows damaging crops and farmland. To support economic recovery, several measures are being implemented. Financial aid packages are being provided to small businesses to help them stay afloat during this period. Low-interest loans and grants are available to assist with the costs of rebuilding and resuming operations. Tourism boards and local governments are launching campaigns to reassure tourists that Hawaii remains a safe and desirable destination. Efforts include promoting unaffected areas and emphasizing the resilience and beauty of the islands. Infrastructure improvements, such as repairing roads and restoring communication networks, are prioritized to facilitate tourism and commerce. With these extensive rebuilding and economic recovery efforts underway, how will Hawaii transform and thrive after this crisis? What innovative strategies will redefine resilience and community strength on the islands? These burning questions lead us into an exciting exploration of Hawaii's future. Join us as we uncover the groundbreaking approaches and inspiring lessons that will shape Hawaii's incredible comeback story.